Hello. Hello. Get this. Is the audio on? Yes. Do. So today we're going to do May 1996. So almost 30 years ago. The EGM. Let's see what we have. Well, PlayStation games 64, Sega Saturn. A lot to talk about. The 8th anniversary. So it started in 1989. Let's see. The Saturn looks like Killer Instinct 2. I don't remember that. All right, let's go. Coca-Cola core design game Shell Shock. That's a tank game. I don't probably not my type of game. Let's see. PO'd. That I don't know. Doesn't look like it has good graphics. Is this a PS1 exclusive? I remember that one. Accolade. Accolades from San Jose. Interesting. I don't remember that one. Do. Striker 96 claim. A lot of these games I don't know so far. That's interesting. Like a soccer. I was never good at soccer games. Magic Johnson. Oh, someone's calling me. I think it's spam. Available on PS1, Saturn. Oh, is this the Showtime series? I did like the Showtime game on Nintendo 64. Um, Project Overkill. Konami. That looks cool. What exactly do we get in this one? We get some Resident Evil talk. Okay, I will like that. Ooh, Mortal Kombat 3. Oh, Ultimate Mortal Kombat. Okay. For the Sega Saturn, that'll be interesting. Final Fantasy 7 preview. Ooh, that's one of my favorite games of all time. That'll be good. Shootout, another NBA game. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, because 64 got delayed. That is true. So the PlayStation 1 was already out. It got a head start. 70 bucks in 96. So that would be like $100 game now. Yeah, games were not cheap. It seemed like we played them longer though as well. Because they're older games were harder. Let me read this. Nintendo has finally announced the 3 N64 launch titles for Japan. Two come as no surprise: Pilot Wing 64 and Super Mario 64. Gamers may remember that Super Nintendo launch also included a Mario and a Pilot Wings title. The third title, however, comes as an eyebrow raiser since its previously unannounced third-party title, called Habu Nakano no Saiku Habushoki. It's a Japanese chess game featuring a popular player. It seems doubtful the title will ever reach the US. Yeah, I don't remember any chess games on 64. As the saying goes, all good things come to those who wait. Unfortunately, the saying now applies to 64-bit gaming devotees, according to several reports. First, Nintendo of Japan announced an additional delay for the Nintendo 64 launch in that country from April 21st to June 23rd. So that's they're doing the Nintendo Switch and also in June. I don't know if it got delayed, but I rather would have had it out for last winter when there wasn't as much to play. The delay results from an apparent shortage of memory chips for the N64, and additional time is needed to fine-tune the launch titles, according to a company statement. Sensing how this delay may worry US gamers, the statement assured, as it has in the past, that the September 30th launch here is on schedule and the launch plans have not changed. In Japan, Nintendo will begin a pre-selling campaign for April 21st. Let's see. The M2 may also find itself on the cusp of a bigger playing field, DVD. Also, Panasonic has yet to reveal its M2 strategy regarding DVD players. So that was like the kind of thing for the next video game generation when they all went to disc. If you think about a worldwide base, how many homes have VCRs? How many VCRs are in the US? Hundreds of millions, right? Well, if you knew that DVD was ultimately going to be the replacement device in the home for the VCR and you had a way to get your M2 game system into a very high percentage of them, wouldn't you want to do that? Correct. That was a right assumption because VCRs, well, yeah, it killed that industry really fast. DVDs were easier to produce than the VHS tapes. Probably less. The cost as well, because film and all that plastic to make a regular VHS tape would cost more than a plastic disc, of course. Because the DVD and M2 technologies share common ground, Lindsay believes it's possible to integrate an M2 video game player into a DVD console, which they did that with a PS2. The extra cost roughly $50 per system for manufacturers. I actually think that's kind of back then that was worth it. If you bought a PS2, but it also could read the DVDs. Say you're getting a DVD player and a PlayStation, so that kind of worked out. Well, not for Nintendo, but for PlayStation especially, and later Xbox. Okay. However, he said it will take time to develop and market such a system, but noted such hardware is what all the software companies are after. It's a bigger story than the PC business. That's not really true. The PC business was it's always been ahead of the media and video game industry because they're the first one to get all the best stuff. Okay, so this is the Saturn. Okay, let me read this part. Sega of Japan will debut a new version of the Sega Saturn that will sell for $199. We did not get The Saturns here where I lived were never 199. For some reason, it was a lot cheaper. Maybe I don't understand why it was cheaper there than here. Maybe because the game sold way better over there. Aside from the price cut, this new version incorporates a streamlined chipset design and slimmer casing and a controller with different color buttons. Despite the changes, the system is fully compatible with all Saturn games. A Sega of America spokesman said that the company has no plans yet to introduce this model in the US, nor has it announced any similar price cuts here. Exactly what I was just saying, because they were not, they were never $199 here. Because I always wanted to get one, but the PlayStation was like, at one time, it was like $200 cheaper than the Saturn here. And PlayStation had all the games, so it made no sense to get the Sega Saturn. Yeah. So what is this? Oh, this is how they cut the prices of a Nintendo game. $18 goes to the retailer, $9 distributor, $36 to the publisher, which is Nintendo, and $7 for the developer. That's crazy. You would think the developer would make more than that. So the developer only made $1 per game. That's a ripoff. Nintendo, with all the licensing fee, they're stealing all the money from these games. And no, that's kind of that might be their problem. Because look at that, only $1 per game, and $1 is costing $70. You're only getting 1/70th. One out of $70 to develop. That's crazy. I don't. Programmer salaries and royalties $4. That's not even like there's so many people that work on these games and they're not all gonna get. Wow, that must have been really tough. No wonder everyone like switched to PlayStation. Nintendo was they've always had that greedy side to them. This is just evidence right here. And the developers were getting less than retail. That's really interesting. Like games nowadays, they are not cheap to make. They're costing millions of dollars. I don't know how much, like, say, the next Grand Theft Auto is going to cost, but it's going to be a fortune. I bet they're going to make it a higher price than normal games. Okay, let's go to the next page. What is this? Oh, this is okay, so this is the CD fee. This is interesting. Oh, so PlayStation publisher fee is $26. Let me go back. So it's $10 less. That's the incentive for people to flip over already. That's a $10 difference. In retailer 18, the CD costs less to make than the cartridge. Developers $7. It's still not a lot, but they could produce more CDs because they cost less to make. That's a $10 difference. So they probably sold more. Developers probably made a little more for if they switched over the companies from PlayStation or to Nintendo to PlayStation. Okay, let's read this. In yet another example of computer game turns motion picture, Threshold Entertainment has acquired the rights to Activision's Zork, one of the first and most popular text-based PC adventure games. Threshold, which helped create the Mortal Kombat film, plans to create both a movie and live-action TV series. In addition, the company has announced plans to create the Mortal Kombat sequel. That was Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I saw that at the drive-in, and I was really broken. My heart was really broken because that was a really bad movie, and I love Mortal Kombat. Anyone that saw the second movie, it's like it killed the any good vibes from the first movie. It killed. And about the TV series, This was called Mortal Kombat Conquest. They came out with the live action TV series in like 1997, 1998, which was, I always say this has like the most depressing season finale because everyone just dies. Shao Kahn just kills everyone pretty much. Yeah, it has a really dark ending. The beginning of the show sucks, but it kind of got better along the way. All right. Die Hard trilogy. I think I had this, but I wasn't good at it. There was a Die Hard arcade game that was fun. I wonder if it's the same one. Let's see what's else. Headphones. Okay, I'm going to read this part. In the ongoing debate over which system is better, Sega Saturn or PlayStation, one argument no longer holds water, at least in Japan. Sega of Japan has equaled the PlayStation's link capability of a cable of its own, which comes bundled with a new fighting game entitled Geo Blockers. The Saturn always promised the possibility of linked play via port located on the Saturn's rear. However, while Sony from the get-go developed its games to play linked play, Sega took a wait-and-see attitude, possibly to gauge what kind of demand existed for linked Saturn games. Sega officially said the company is looking at bringing the link cable and additional compatible to games to the US, although no timetable or price has been set. Okay. The Saturn's link cable operates identical to PlayStation's. 2 TVs, 2 games, and 2 systems are needed to play. The cable plugs into communication connector port. So all this is pretty much, I think, leading to online play. And Sega, the Dreamcast would have the online games first. That was in, I think, 2000. They kind of beat them to that, I think, with Fantasy Star Online. Darkstalkers. One of my friends likes Darkstalkers. I didn't really play this one though. Capcom. Kind of looks Street Fighter-ish, yeah. You see these, I remember these PS1, the original PS1 games had the big box. Well, at least here in the United States. They had the big box. They would break easy. They look cool though. I went to Fire and Ice the other day. They had quite a few of the big box old school PlayStation games where I live. Let's see what's next. The last days of Super Nintendo would be 96. Zork Nemesis. I do not remember this one. It's the one they were just talking about. Ooh, so Resident. Oh, okay, so they have the reviews for Resident Evil, the original game. Game 1. It was game of the month. No surprise with that. That was the scariest game back then. That was mind blowing. 8, 9.5, 9. Some of the B's. I didn't like the controls of the original Resident Evil games are hard, I think. Especially if you're not used to like that tank control. What else? Mario RPG, we did that on stream. We did the remaster last year. It's got 9.5, 9, 8.5, 8. These are 2 really good games. Sega of America Genesis game. Don't know this one. Saturn Iron Storm Working Studios. It's a simulation game. Someone really liked this. This got a higher score than Resident Evil, which is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't. Night Warriors, Capcom fighting game. Those are some good games. These two are especially all time right there. Panzer Dragoon. So I was at Fire and Ice the other day. Someone they have a copy in a sealed form, and it's graded, and it costs like $3,000 or something crazy. It's like graded at 9.8 maybe, or like a 9.5. Those Sega Saturn games, wow, those are expensive. I think I played it briefly, but not on the Saturn. Sega Saturn Worms I've heard of, but I haven't played. Magic Carpet, I don't know that one. All right, let's go to the next one. Namco Arcade Classics. So I think I probably rented this one. That was like a desperate rental right there. If you have nothing else to play, then Pac-Man. Okay, that's good. I've heard of this game, but I've never played it. It's on the 3DO. Like I don't know how much 3DO games cost, but it looked like Vandal Hearts on PlayStation 1 though. So I'm a little interested in this one, but it doesn't get the good scores. Game Gear, Sega's handheld Arena. I don't know that one. Got good scores. That's interesting. Arcade Greatest Hits. Most of those games are hard. Hardball 5. I don't know. A lot of sports games in the 90s. Lower Saturn prices overseas. Yep. They already knew they were going to lose. 64 delayed until Turkey Day. Mortal Kombat 2 movie in 97. Oh, I was so excited for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Alien Trilogy, PlayStation. So this game, I think Carito was playing Alien Trilogy. I don't know if this is the same one. That looked cool. Kind of looked like Doom. I need to get this. I might actually like this one. I like the Alien series a lot. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Wow. I remember when my dad came home with this game. Oh my god, it was so cool. I really liked Stryker, even though he might be considered the worst character, or the least effective one from MK3. Wait a second. And this on the arcade machines, it had the skull and bones on the side of the real arcade machine, because I believe the arcade got Mortal Kombat before the home consoles. So it was a really big deal when we went to the arcade and we played MK3. There was like lines, it was crazy just to play this game. Oh, it was so awesome. What a great time. Mega Man X3. Did I play X3? I may have rented this one. College Slam, yeah. Played that. That was okay one. Ridge Racer, yeah, that was the popular PlayStation game. That was before Gran Turismo, this one. Batman Forever, we had that. We didn't have that on the. We had this on Super Nintendo, I think. I know they did an issue the year previous on Batman Forever. We'll read that one eventually. That was a really cool game, though, I think. Really cool Batman game. Oh, WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. I played this one a lot. I loved pro wrestling in the 1990s, especially. You don't get a lot of characters, but I prefer this one over the whatever the other one's called. Superstars. There's another arcade wrestling game before this one. But I like this one. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat in WWF. I thought that one was fun. Mortal Kombat 2 cheat codes for the Saturn. I don't know if anything is different with the MK2 on the Sega Saturn. I don't even know what this is. Oh, wait a second. Secret cheat switches. Oh, Mortal Kombat, when you had, they always had the hard codes. Not hard, but you always had to do it really fast in the intro of, what was it, Trilogy on 64? You had to do it really fast, I remember. Or you wouldn't get the secret. On the PlayStation one, it's really easy. Because I think it's L1, L2, R2, R1, and just up at the same time, and then you get the secret mode for that game. But I think the Nintendo 64 of oh, this is MK2, so I've never played this version of it. I think it's just the same. I don't know if there's like different secret characters or something. Night Warriors. Do, do, do. The hot games of 1989. Goals and Ghosts. Freaking hard game right here. No, I didn't beat this one. Mega Man 2, yeah. Mega Man 2 is probably my favorite Mega Man. Original Batman game I thought was hard. Legendary Axe, unless it was on another console. I think it was on another console. The Time Machine. (1989) had the TurboGrafx, Genesis, and the Super Nintendo Game Boy. That's kind of a weird generation. The Genesis games always seemed more for adults than the Nintendo. And usually the rich kids they also had the graphics, because some people just had the Genesis and the Nintendo. If you're really lucky, you had all three. The original Game Boy, I don't know how many batteries it took, but I remember that it took the batteries out really fast, the original ones. Crazy how time changed about handhelds, especially right now. So the original Game Boy is, if you if you replay any like original Game Boy games, it's like, how did we play this back then? It's so much worse the handheld games. I guess people probably still like the original Pokemon games, though. Those are kind of the exceptions. The original covers on the first years, those were not as good as the new ones. They really upgraded the covers eventually. These look really basic. 1994. This, I think, one of these I think both of these might have been at the Fire and Ice store. They're actually selling these at the store, these two. Oh yeah, this one's also at the retro store that I live next to. Skeleton Warriors. Sega Saturn. I actually, since we're reading 1996 specific, I'm going to read this part then. Okay, so we're only 5 months into 1986, but quite a lot has happened, especially in Nintendo's world. In January, we previewed Nintendo 64, 12 pages to be exact. You got a look at the first games as well as N64's unique controller, which they have the worst controller. I never got used to the 64 controller. It was crap. If that wasn't enough, we followed it with a whopping 18 pages of even more pictures and screenshots in February. We also reported that major Sony licensees were considering developing Saturn titles. 3DO owners weren't ignored as we featured an incredible M2 upgrade. So Jaguar would stop it, yeah, because 3DO switched to somewhere else, right? And that really cut their exclusives out. That makes sense. The April edition verified news that everyone expected that Nintendo was planning to delay the US launch of the N64 until September 30th. Good news that they would be porting over some of their best PlayStation games to the Saturn, but it was kind of too late though already. Why not everybody playing Derby and Wipeout, right, boys? Finally, we featured the first look at Capcom's awesome new Street Fighter Alpha 2, complete with 4 pages of pictures, moves, and artwork. It's tradition of delivering news first in the coming months, including internet connectivity and online game downloading for your consoles. Greater software consolation between hardware and platforms, and best of all, lower prices and better games. Also look for great new games for the PlayStation and Saturn as programmers become more familiar with the platforms. And with N64 and M2 on the way, the rest of 1996 is going to be eventful. Yes, it's an exciting time in the video game business, and we're glad you're with EGM in the forefront of this revolutionary era. Where the games go will be the first, and we hope you come along for the ride. Isn't it crazy how much they kicked out Super Nintendo really fast? But the 64 still got delayed. It seemed like the Nintendo Switch era seemed a lot longer than the Super Nintendo era. It was definitely more than 5 years for the Switch. Maybe we're on like 8 right now. It's like a really long lasting era though. Some Marvel, what is this? Some Marvel video game. King of Fighters. Win a trip to Tokyo. That would be something. Soul Edge. It's a Namco. College Slam. Had its little run. Virtua Fighter 3. That's Sega's big fighting game. I don't remember War Gods. They didn't have this. I don't think they had this one at my arcade place. I don't remember this one. NBA Jam. Everyone liked this one. That was a ridiculous basketball game. Cycle. Dead or Alive 1. I don't know if I played that one. Was this one only on the Saturn, the first game? Soul Edge. That one, look, I think I played a demo of this one. So the Tekken Wannabe. Well, I might play that. That looks fun. I'd probably play that game. Just to switch it up. Ooh, Final Fantasy VII preview. It was an announcement that surprised the world when Square of Japan stated that they would be doing Final Fantasy VII, the next game in their extremely popular Final Fantasy RPG series for the Sony PlayStation and not the new Nintendo 64 game system as previously thought. Which this is huge mistake in retrospect because this became the reason people got the PlayStation. This was a reason to get the PlayStation. This game was, oh my gosh, this game changed everything. The people that didn't like RPGs would end up liking RPGs because all the previous Final Fantasy games were on Nintendo, and when they lost Final Fantasy, they lost a lot of business. Probably they really screwed up. But had they not, Final Fantasy VII probably doesn't turn out as good as it does. Because, like, I think it was like 3 disc. The original Final Fantasy VII was a 3 disc PlayStation 1 game. So that you couldn't do that on the Nintendo 64. So I guess ultimately the fans won, but I bet Nintendo really regrets that. EGM editors were able to talk to the main people responsible for the creation of Final Fantasy VII at Square and learned that the primary reason why Square went with PlayStation was the fact that Nintendo 64 cartridges could not hold the massive amount of game data that Final Fantasy VII took. Further stated that even the storage capacity on Nintendo's proposed N64 bulky drive was insufficient to hold the FF7 game. More than 30 bulky drive discs would be necessary to hold the same information that will be on the 2 PlayStation discs. It turned out to be 3, I think, though. That's a huge difference. It would take 30 drives to make 2 PlayStation discs. That's insane to think about. Even more surprising was the fact that Square announced that the game would be finished in time for a late November 1996 launch in Japan. Since the game was just starting in late 1995, that leaves then 12 months to complete the game. EGM questioned whether they would make anywhere near feasible considering Square had no experience in creating CD games and that the previous Final Fantasy games took up to 18 months to complete. Square officials stated that in order to meet the deadline, they have to set up the largest development group ever assembled in the world. Over 100 people are working on the project, both in Japan and in Square's new US office in LA. The US team is primarily responsible for many of the city's backgrounds, which were really awesome looking. Maybe it doesn't like the graphics doesn't translate to nowadays, but in 97, wow, game changer. But what about the game? EGM toured Square's new LA office, and it's state of the art all the way. Besides hiring Sabatino and Ashdown, 2 of US top computer graphic experts, Square has installed some of the best CG equipment, including Extreme from Silicon Graphics, as well as the brand new digital editing studio in their office. So they basically hired they knew what they had, so they just hired all the best people they could. And with that risk, They got rewarded though. If they hired that many people to work on one game, it worked. It changed the industry. Um, with the game barely underway, the version that the editors saw less than 2% complete. Still, the battle scenes were extremely well done. Yes, the battle scenes. I wish the battle scenes could be that well done nowadays. If you're doing traditional RPGs, that's the game to rip everything off to make it. Because I think that hack and slash games now, I don't. For some reason, it just feels like it doesn't feel the same when you get to make every decision about the battle. You know what I mean? There's like a option. You get so many options of how you could defeat an enemy. I like how they just did it perfectly. The battle system of Final Fantasy VII. I don't think they could make a better one. Store officials further stated that the animation would move along 15 frames per second, while the action inside the console window would move as much faster as 60 frames per second, allowing for very smooth and precise battle scenes. Yes, the only bad thing is the loading time for the battle screens on the PlayStation. You get used to, but nowadays, like, we have everything faster. So that would hurt it in retrospect now, but it didn't really matter back then. The loading screens were just something we just were accustomed to, just waiting for. Officials are hoping to have a total of 10 characters in your party on the screen at once. That wasn't. Oh, if they mean bad guys, that is true. But you'd have three main characters or good guys against the enemies, so that's probably true. The mount is currently undecided. The programs are still trying to squeeze more polygons on the screen. Yeah, you could really tell now. Everything kind of looks blocky in retrospect. This the reactor. When we first got our PlayStation on Christmas 1996, I believe. The first time playing this, it was the demo of this part. When you're in the reactor and you have to blow it up. Oh my gosh, the music of this game as well. The story, just amazing game. Project Overkill. I didn't play this. I don't think I played this one. Let's see. Ooh, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Nothing can prepare you. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is the update to one of the most successful sequels in arcade history. Yes, everyone was talking about this game. I remember, I was in like kindergarten when this came out, and I did. They make you tell stuff about yourself. I said I was like, all I liked was Mortal Kombat back then. I dressed up as a Scorpion for Halloween around that time. Oh, I was obsessed. I shouldn't have been playing this game like so young, but oh, I was so obsessed with Mortal Kombat. I wish I had pictures of me as Scorpion for Halloween. That would be so funny. Okay, let me get back on track. The update adds 4 new characters: Scorpion, Reptile, and Katana returning from MK2, as well as Jade, who was a secret character in MK2. Ultimate also adds some new moves to MK3. For example, Striker now uses his gun. However, characters seem too powerful, and MK, such as Cabal, would have been watered down, so they would not be as strong. He has this one spinning move where you could bounce the character and get additional hits off. So I understand why they changed Cabal, because I do recall that being a hard battle, especially when you're playing against people that know all the moves. there you could definitely game with because Katana has the move where she moves you upright, and then you could just like volley the opponent for like half the life. Yeah, but that's if you're playing like if you're in the arcade and someone knew what they were doing. You did not want to face Katana because she had that one Katana move where you would like no matter if you blocked it or whatever, you were up in the air getting hit. There was no stopping that. And the Cabal one where he just speeds through the screen, those were really cheap moves. Okay, well, there's now a bar to choose when you defeat Shao Kahn, from fighting New Sabot to playing Mega Endurance Galaga to seeing all the fatalities, fatalities, and friendships. That was my favorite one. After I beat the game, I'd choose the one so I could see all the fatalities and stuff. That was probably the best one because then you get to see what everyone's uh, finishing move looked like. Because I didn't know how to do all the fatalities back then. There are also 3 new ultimate codes which end up revealing Melina, Sub-Zero, circa MK2, and Ermac, who was the famous rumored character in MK2. The Sega Saturn version is really quite excellent. There is a large palette of colors for the computer to choose from, making everything look brilliant. I think Smoke was the secret character in 3, right? The robot Smoke was the secret character. I think I think people say he's the best character in the game because he has the largest combo in the game. If you practice with him, he has like a insane combo you get. He has like the thing that comes out of his stomach, like Scorpion, the dagger thing in it, and then you could just drag him. What else? He also has the move where he goes up and down, like Sector. The uppercut, I think, when he can move like up and down. So he's a really good character in this one. All the features seem to be intact from the arcade, from the 4 new backgrounds to all new characters. There are still a few glitches in the game, but that will all be worked out. There seems to be no loading problems with Shang Tsung, a problem that ticked off gamers. Yeah, that's why no one liked to play Shang Tsung in the PS1 Mortal Kombat trilogy because it would actually stop the fight entirely because it takes time for the like if you played against Shang Tsung, he would like morph like 3 times in a battle with him, and it would stop the fight. So that was very annoying. So everyone just avoided Shang Tsung. Yet another addition to MK3 update is the level of difficulty. Ultimate is 10 times harder than MK3 ever was, which like if you're playing trilogy, like I did that on one of my first streams, and my hand was hurting like horribly. I could not beat Shao Kahn for whatever reason. I didn't remember it was that difficult, but oh my gosh, it was very difficult. Even if you choose like very easy, I think it's still very hard though. This game is you're meant to lose. It's currently unknown whether or not anything new will be in it, Ultimate for the Saturn, but it's likely it will have new codes for the lockbox located at the bottom of the first screen. A few new tweaks have been added into the gameplay. For example, you can now perform combos off a jump punch. Yeah, I don't. That's exactly what I don't like. Adding it to the 12-hit monster Cabal combo that I was talking about earlier. Other than moves like Smoke's teleport uppercut, these are a lot of my complaints right here because the Smoke uppercut is really cheap as well. Are not as easy to get away from anymore, zoning in on the opponent for a longer period of time. All in all, Ultimate is a great addition to MK3, especially considering it was a free update in the arcades. So, what is it? The Ultimate, you on the Saturn version, you automatically get the 3 hidden characters that appears. In the other versions, you had to unlock these pairs because you can see at the bottom of the screen. This is Molina, Ermac, and Classic Sub-Zero. And I think you'd have to lose a battle, then enter the right codes really fast to unlock the secret characters in Mortal Kombat 3. Because after you lose, you get to that one that code screen, and then you have to enter the buttons really fast in the right order. Then you'd unlock a secret character. Iron Storm. Tons of games. See. I'm looking at these Saturn games because this is like if they did a Saturn like mini where they had Sega like would unlock all these games to play for like because those retro consoles they sold really well. They sold out in a lot of the stores. If they did a Sega Saturn one, I'd totally buy it because I missed a lot of these games. We had the PS1 and we would later get the 64. So I kind of want to see Saturn games. Maybe there's some like diamonds in the rough. Panzer Dragoon 2. I remember this was the big game though on Sega Saturn. That's it looked really cool, but I don't know if it was like the sign of the time, but I don't think it looked as good as the PS1 games. That's what I remember. But this was the big game though for them. I remember seeing the pictures and it didn't look as good as. Well, my favorite game is like Tomb Raider, so I think I'm a little biased. I guess someday we'll play Panzer Dragoon. I think it's on the Nintendo Switch. Um, Shining Wisdom from the. This is like the Shining 4 series. I really like these games. I did not play this one though because I did not have the Saturn. I think at the store though, when I went to Fire and Ice, they might have had this exact one. This would probably be my kind of game, but it'd probably not do good on the stream in terms of views. But I do like the Shining Force series a lot. Worms, Rayman. Rayman was a big series. Best Jaguar game. I think on the PlayStation Classic Mini, the original Rayman, this game is on it. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's on the PS Mini. The Die Hard trilogy. One of my friends had this game, but I wasn't good at it. I remember sometimes we'd like hop over the fence because he got some of the PlayStation games we didn't have. Like I think he was the first person I saw that Crash Bandicoot, Resident Evil 2, and he had Die Hard trilogy. We'd back in the day because games were expensive. As a kid, you can't get all these games. You'd either have to rent it or like trade your friends' games. So they'd borrow one of your games while you had to play one of theirs. I remember Die Hard trilogy though. I did play it on PS1 I'm pretty sure. Did not play this one. Earthworm Jim. I always thought the Earthworm Jim games were hard. I don't think I played this. I think I played the first game, not the second one. EGM has learned that Sega is working on a new Sonic game for the Saturn. That is probably what I'd play if I played Sega Saturn, because I never played any of the Saturn Sonic games. They're probably available on one of the like the was it Sonic Origins where you get to play the old games. They're probably on those consoles, but that would be interesting. I'd try it out maybe. I kind of miss that generation Sonic. I think it was this. Was it Sonic 3 was the one I didn't like. The first two were really good. Is this Turok? Yeah, Turok would be kind of a thing. Oh, Tomb Raider. Although not much is known at this time about Tomb Raider, they call it with Tomb Raiders. Like there's multiple Tomb Raiders or Tomb Raider. By US Gold, it is obviously a 3D game in which you are controlled by a female Indiana Jane named Laura. The adventure will bring her through many different countries, leading to unique adventures in each. With visuals as shocking as these, be sure to keep an eye out for additional information that will shed some light on this mysterious tale. I did not even know it was called Tomb Raiders. Because it's Laura Croft. It's just Tomb Raider. It's not Tomb Raiders. Look at these are the first screens probably anyone ever saw of Tomb Raider. That's insane. Which level is this? This might be Lost Valley. I don't even know this part. I don't even. This might be like an unused part they never used for the game. This screen. This could be like level 2. I don't know. This is like Tomb of Qualified, but this screen I've never even seen, or I don't think so. This is interesting. Yeah, this game would change my life though. But Tomb Raiders, what is up with that? I didn't even know that it was supposed to be called Tomb Raiders. VR soccer, was it my thing? Be a shootout. What's the snowboarding game that we had on PS1? Oh, Cold Borders. I don't think it's Cold Borders though. NBA Live, yeah, we had some NBA Live games, but it was mostly the other NBA game, the arcade one. That was the one we liked. Ken Griffey Run Team. Original Need for Speed came out that time. Yeah, that was pretty groundbreaking, wasn't it? I don't think any Need for Speed was like must play after like Underground 2 though. They kind of dipped. Well, so did EA Sports in general though. They had their like peak and they haven't been able to reach. NHL Power Play, I probably played that. That sounds like something I would definitely play a lot as a kid. I was always obsessed with hockey. Well, that's not true. Ultimate Mortal Kombat is only on the Sega Saturn. That is not true. Because it went. Didn't it go to like Sega Genesis as well? Or Super. It went to Super Nintendo for sure. That's not true. The PlayStation, they got Mortal Kombat 3, the original, but they'd also get Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which Trilogy is the best one because it has the most characters and the easiest, the best cheat code menu. The best playing wise is the Trilogy on the Nintendo 64. That MK3 has the best combat, I think. The loading screens on PS1 are terrible, though. The big box. What is it? Which one is that? Oh, the original Resident Evil big box game. So the original Saturn Resident Evil, I looked up one day. If you have that, like the manual, the case, everything in good condition, it goes for like the Saturn version goes for like $600 now, which is insane. And imagine if you never opened it, then it's worth that over 1,000. Just yeah, which is pretty crazy for the video game collectors because now people grade these games. And apparently, someone has a 9.7 Chrono Trigger grade, and it goes for thousands. And that's just in my area. Some of these sellers probably have like a lot of these unopened games, but it's by luck at this point. Only the collectors are going to have these super rare games. I never even had a Jaguar. I don't even know how much the Jaguar games cost right now. I remember Congo the movie, not the game. Guardian Heroes, that's supposed to be one of the good ones on Sega Saturn. There was a lot of sports games in this issue, it seemed like. Sega Saturn 299. So for some reason, yeah, that's kind of like my big question is why did Japan only get? Because Sega Saturn, like at its lowest, was 300. Is that crazy? That's crazy to think about. How are we? Why would people choose like if PlayStation 1 was going to be cheaper and they have more games? I don't know. Is it just for Sonic? Game Shark. Resident Evil, the original. I'm gonna do this one on stream, but if they remake it, if they do a remake of Resident Evil 1, I'm 100% gonna stream that because that game is that all-time classic. Controls are really hard on the original though. That was fun. We just finished May 1996 issue of EGM. So nostalgic when we do these. And I hope you had, whoever's watching this, I hope you had a good time. So, how long was I on? Stream was over an hour today. I do these magazine streams that it's amazing I could talk this long. So we'll probably do I don't know. I like to switch the years up when we do the magazine streams. This is episode 3. I've done it every a different year every single stream for these. So I'm gonna do a different year next time. And I think I know what I'm gonna do, but I'm not gonna say